Today on 101 Sports,
we discuss MLB season award winners,
recap the first third of the NFL season using props,
and which coaches have no business in their current role.
all that and so much more.
And it all starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of 101 Sports. I'm Ellie Whittington.
And I'm Thomas Hale. We have a great show planned for you, but before that, Ellie and I are going to jump right in with the quick hitters. Last Friday, the United States men's national soccer team defeated Panama 4-0 in arguably their most important World qualifying match ever. There's no doubt that the Stars and Stripes have struggled in the CONCACAF hexagonal, but does this win shift their momentum and mentality for the rest of the qualifying period and beyond, Ellie?
Of course, a win is going to boost your momentum in any sport. So having this big of a win and for the team, I think and I hope that it does.
And with the amount of criticism the U.S. was facing beforehand, we had a lot of draws and losses to teams that we really should have beaten. We're talented enough to beat these teams. It's nice to get a solid win against an opponent. And so do you think they're going to the World Cup?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think it's been a long time since the U.S. has had a good soccer team, and that I think that it would build momentum around the sport in general.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think they're going to the World Cup.
And I think that we were pretty primed. It looks like the only way that we'll miss is if we lose to Trinidad and Tobago, we probably won't go, but I'm thinking we're going to beat them. And then also if Panama beats Costa Rica by 8,
Wow.
or if Honduras
Wow.
beats Mexico by 12. So
Yeah.
I feel like we're in pretty good shape.
And if you don't know the world of soccer, those are huge.
Not gonna happen.
Yes, those are crazy.
Probably not going to happen.
And it's crazy to me to think that like teams like Argentina, with one of the best players in the world,
Absolutely.
is probably not going to make the World Cup. Is that correct?
Yeah, looks like we're doing all right, huh?
And yeah, so go USA.
Go USA.
Diana Trubisky, Candace Parker, Sue Bird. These are three players that have headlined an incredible group of talent in the WNBA for years. Each of these three players are also the wrong side of 30, and we may start to see them retire from the league. As these stars transition out, which younger WNBA players do you think will take their spot?
How can I not go with a UConn Husky?
Oh.
A UConn Husky out of Seattle with the Seattle Storm, Breanna Stewart. She's such a great player, the 2016 Rookie of the Year. Last year in her first season, she averaged 19 points, nearly 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, playing like Draymond Green out there in a couple years.
Hey,
Such a good
now
player.
that's not fair.
Hey, I mean, she brought the UConn 4 national championships, and
Right.
she's bringing Seattle up in the world of the WNBA.
I don't know how you can say that a UConn women's basketball player is not a leader in itself. They have
Absolutely.
just dominated college basketball moving into the WNBA.
Yeah.
I cannot disagree, but I think it can take multiple players to continue on, and I'm going with Maya Moore of the Minnesota Lynx. She has just incredible momentum. She hit the game-winning shot in the WNBA to win the
Big shot.
championship.
Love it.
Is a 5-time All-Star. I mean, I think credentials and statistics show that you're a good player, but also being
Yeah.
a leader in the league is really
I
important.
can
as
see
well.
her being one of those generational players for the WNBA who we'll be talking about 25, 30 years later on.
Interesting. Well, it's
We'll
going to be
find out.
interesting. Yes.
On Sunday, the Giants' star wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. took a nasty ankle injury. Odell joins a growing list of star players such as Greg Olsen, J.J. Watt, and Derek Carr that have been knocked out due to injury. Ellie, which of these injuries do you think affects their team the most?
Greg Olsen.
Greg Olsen.
I know that may be a biased opinion, but Greg Olsen is hurting the Panthers with wide receivers. The Panthers have struggled in the last few weeks. They are playing well, but I think that having him out of that lineup is rough. I would agree that also J.J. Watt's injury is major.
Yeah, that one hurts for Houston, especially just after everything that
Yes.
happened there. You hate to
I
see that.
agree.
But I'm going to go with Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, simply because now the Giants don't really have any wide receivers.
Well, my thing with it is, in general, the Giants just aren't even playing well to begin with, so it
don't have
hurts
wide
their
receivers,
team,
you'd be even worse. Absolutely.
But I think that it's just it's just like their team's just not well. So are they
Yeah.
really? And the question is, who is hurting their team the worst? Okay, I think even with Odell, they're not going to be playing well.
Even with Odell, at least Eli Manning has anyone to pass to. They lost Odell Beckham Jr., they lost Brandon Marshall and Sterling Shepard to ankle injuries for the rest of the season, and Dwayne Harris, who is like on special teams, but he can sometimes play wide receiver. He's out for the season.
Well, the
Who do they go
Giants are
to
done
next?
for, and I am really hoping that the Carolina Panthers aren't done for.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Greg Olsen be back on that field.
Giants might
And
need
they
Victor Cruz in the future. Yeah.
Ooh,
Call him back.
Come back. We'll see. Starting this season, a majority of NBA teams will have advertisements on their jerseys. The ads will take up a small patch area on the left chest of every jersey, keeping the classic jersey designs of many teams almost entirely the same. So there's adding a small bit of patch. However, many speculate that these small ads are just the start for the NBA. So what do you think about these successes in these jerseys, and how is it going to change?
I mean, we've talked about this
Yes.
before privately. I think we both agree that ads can only get bigger at this point in the NBA. I mean, there's just so much money to be made off of advertising in sports nowadays, because that's really the only people turn on the TV for now.
Well, Thomas, I think that this is just the start. And as we were talking about, I think that these games are going to go off of television and be more something that are live streaming. When you have live streaming, we as a generation don't watch commercials anymore.
Right.
And so therefore you're not getting those advertisements. You put it on a jersey, and even if it's live stream, you can see, and then you're going to relate your team with that company.
Absolutely. The only issue that I have with this is that we know that in soccer, ads are all over the jerseys. They're huge. They look like billboard signs, but they use a lot of that money for their transfers. They can use that money to buy other players, spend money on other players.
Interesting.
Whereas in the NBA, they don't have a system like that. They're not buying players like that, and they can't really use that money besides anything except
It's
for
making
their
money, and I
organization.
think that they have to, if they're not selling these TV rights, which is I think how things are going towards,
Yeah.
then they have to make money to be a profitable organization. And I think that it's not something new to our eyes. Think about NASCAR.
Yeah.
I've never seen a NASCAR player without an advertisement on his car, on his
Absolutely.
uniform. And so this is just a transition, and I think that it's going to continue whether we like it or not. And I think it's interesting that these players can associate. I've heard that a lot of players, that if someone sponsored their team as like an AAU team or as a little league team,
Right.
it is more likely that they will sign with that company
Yeah.
later
We'll
on
be
in
talking
life.
about that a little bit later on in the
Yes.
show. See if that affects who they'll go to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And so this will be good to see, and I think it's going to continue.
We'll expand on that in the lounge later.
Sounds good.
That's all the time we have for quick hitters.
But don't go anywhere, because I will be headed to the Diamond to discuss the MLB season award races. The MLB playoffs are a time for the MVPs and Cy Young winners to step up when the games matter the most, like this week. Today, I'm joined at the desk by our two MLB experts to discuss who the Cy Young and MVP winners will be this season. Welcome, guys. So we're going to start out. Who do you guys think that the American League MVP is going to be? Ennis?
It's got to be Jose Altuve. This guy leads the league in batting average. He's the best player on the highest scoring team in the AL. 24 home runs, 204 hits, 81 RBIs. This guy's far and away the best player in the AL.
I said Aaron Judge. I think that along with his shortcomings, we're talking strikeouts. He led with all rookies, the home
talking
runs,
37
52,
strikeouts.
52 home runs. He led, rookies in walks. He also led the entire league.
Had a horrendous August.
In runs. And when he's in a sentence with guys like Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle, I think when you're
I don't
in a
think
sentence with
Babe
guys
Ruth
like
and
that,
Mickey Mantle had that bad of an August and that bad of a second half of the season.
my question is, how can you have such a good season? He was polarizing. He was
First half of
explosive,
the
hitting home
season.
runs. And we're just saying, it's not him this
Let's
year.
head over to the National League. Ennis, do you want to start off with that again?
I'm going with Paul Goldschmidt. 120 RBIs, 115 runs. Improved his home runs from last year, tied a career high. Best defensive first baseman in the NL, and carried them to 90 wins and a playoff appearance. Their first playoff appearance since 2011. Carried that team.
Matt.
I love the NL MVP debate because it's so deep. There's so many options.
is.
But I agree that Goldschmidt and my guy Nolan Arenado are the top two. I picked Arenado because of what he does on both sides of the ball. Obviously, a
Right.
Gold Glove winner at third base, and he did better down the stretch than Goldschmidt did. They're both trying to get their teams into the playoffs. And so when you
Now,
talk
what you
about guys
could
who
argue, though, is he has a little bit more competition with his teammate there, Charlie Blackmon, as opposed to Paul Goldschmidt. I think Goldschmidt's a little bit better.
I just think that
do.
his play at third base, obviously winning a Gold Glove and maybe performing like that again this year is what sets him above Goldschmidt.
Well, let's head off from the field to the pitcher's mound. Let's talk about the Cy Young winner. Who do you think for the American League?
Just like the AL MVP race, I think this is just far and away Corey Kluber. He carried this team to 22, or one of the best winning streaks that we've ever seen in baseball. Leads the league in ERA, wins, winning percentage, WHIP, walks per inning. Do I have to go on?
And he's still continuing.
And
They're
he's
still playing right now.
And yes,
I think it's Chris Sale, and it's pretty obvious because he led the MLB in strikeouts. He's your strikeout king. And when you
Strikeout
see him
king.
on the mound, you're saying, "Wow, this guy is going to strike some people out. He's going to throw it past you. He's going to throw it by you, around you." Because he is intimidating on the mound, and he's really that presence that scares people
strikeout
in the
king,
batter's
ERA,
box.
wins, winning percentage, WHIP.
He led the league in most innings pitched, strikeout to walk ratio, and then also his FIP was the lowest in the league. So I think that combining all of you looking at stats, Chris Sale's your guy.
I think that the pitchers are definitely leading these playoffs right now. So let's head over to the National Leagues. Madam, we'll start with you this time. Who's the Cy
I
Young
think
winner
it's
for National
Clayton
League?
Kershaw, and it's
can't be
not
Clayton
super
Kershaw.
close.
Can't be
I know
Clayton
he didn't play
Kershaw.
the whole season. I'm going to get there, but he led the league in wins. He had an ERA of 2.31, which is incredible. He brought it down, especially down the stretch. Whereas guys like Max Scherzer they struggled down the stretch because their ERA went up, and that kind of pushed them out of
Who are you
contention.
going with?
Well, we're talking about Kershaw's body of work, and yes, he had a higher ERA, but you just conceded to my point that he missed time. Scherzer had a WHIP of .91, most Ks in the NL, and he's just the healthiest pitcher in the NL. Now, if you're talking maybe Kershaw and Strasburg not missing that month of time that they did, then yeah, I could see your point, but I just think it's Scherzer.
Guys, I think that these are all incredible players, and I cannot wait to continue to watch some of these continue to play in the postseason, and we're going to see as we keep you updated on what's going on in baseball. That's all the time we have on the Diamond, but don't worry, Thomas will be back at the desk to discuss WNBA and the NBA rivalries after this quick break.
Turn here. There. Excuse me.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom.
It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back. On Wednesday, the Minnesota Lynx won the WNBA title in a winner-take-all Game 5 against their bitter rivals, the Los Angeles Sparks, getting revenge after last year's finals loss. This brings up an interesting comparison to the NBA, where a huge rivalry has been created between Golden State and Cleveland as a result of 3 straight finals meetings. I'm joined at the desk by our WNBA expert, Jenny Berman, and our NBA expert, Dominic Vernazza, to break it down. So guys, who's got the better rivalry here? Sparks, Lynx, Warriors, Cavs. Dom, let's hear it.
Well, they obviously both have their merits, but for me, I'm going to go Cavs Warriors the best one. And one of my main reasons is familiarity. They play more games. The WNBA has a shorter season, so during even the regular season, Cavs Warriors are playing more. They play the last 3 finals as opposed to only the past 2 for the Lynx Sparks. And it's also been, they're the only opponents they've each met in the finals. Whereas in the WNBA, of the last 7 finals, the Lynx have been in 6 of them. They played 2 other teams twice each. I don't even know if
And
this is a
yet none
rivalry or is this a blip on the radar
And yet
for the
none of
Lynx.
them have been as vicious a rivalry as the Sparks and Lynx, who
Which is the most current one.
going into that Game 5, they were tied 908 points to 908 points in their last meetings. And that shows just how evenly matched this is. And the other thing, here's my main argument, is just how hard it is to have teams that consistently make it to the finals in the WNBA as opposed to the NBA.
Well, what? There's less teams in the WNBA.
Here's the thing, with the NBA though, hey, you know, Golden State, things are getting a little tough. Kevin Durant, would you like some money? Here's a blank check. It's much easier to pull players together when you can buy them. Whereas in the WNBA, you have to have much better drafting. You can't afford to pay players.
If it's so tough, then how have the Lynx made it to 6 of the last 7? If it is such a challenge.
Because they've been one of the most impressive teams
because there's
as
only
far as
12 teams in the
drafting and
WNBA,
that has
and the
nothing
talent
to do
tends
with
to get
it.
conjugated
So,
on the top team.
how about
And there's
this, guys?
only
How
a few
about this,
good
guys?
teams in the NBA who even stand a chance.
Who's got the better competition in games?
In games? Well, I mean, it's a little tough to say, but I think obviously the talent level at the NBA level is much better. And
I think that's a subjective argument.
you would
As
think
far
the WNBA has better talent than the NBA.
I think it's irrelevant as far as with NBA players. If Steph Curry can beat Diana Taurasi one-on-one is irrelevant to the fact that Diana Taurasi is one of the best players in the WNBA. So I think that saying talent level is irrelevant when you're comparing apples and oranges.
And I think even if maybe the talent disparity is a little bit more weighted towards the Warriors and maybe one team on the Lynx Sparks, I think just more entertaining to watch, which is an important part of any rivalry is how watchable it is.
Subjective.
Well, it's not really subjective since the WNBA averages 500,000 viewers for its finals and the NBA
And
averages
that's
30
because
million.
We can get into so many different
But the
reasons
WNBA
about
And they're all
it.
gonna
is
point
on
that
the
the NBA
rise.
is more
It is on the
watched.
rise. This past Game 5 was the highest rating
At 1 million.
since 2003.
Yeah, 1 million fans. I think the
Still,
highest
though,
rated for the
people are watching
NBA
the
was
games.
45 million.
People are always
so-
checking out the games, though.
It's still growing.
So,
How
right,
much
I
of a head start has the NBA had on marketing, advertising, even
The
just building
WNBA
the
could
league?
run for 200 years, it still would never surpass the NBA.
you don't think so?
And you're only saying that because look at what the head start is. The NBA has existed for so much longer.
It's because it's the better league. It's
that
more
has
popular.
nothing to do
So
with
final
it.
thoughts, guys. Jenny, why are the Sparks and the Lynx a better
Because
rivalry?
this is 2 teams that have to have very smart management, have to put together teams that are competitive under the not best circumstances. The players don't get paid as much. Some of them have to work jobs in the offseason, which NBA players don't have, or they're
What
playing.
does that have to do with anything?
It does.
Dom,
They're playing
let's
way
hear your
more
final
games.
thoughts.
My final
thoughts.
thought is even like what this means to the sport is so much more for Cavs Warriors because you have one team that's trying to be the greatest team of all time in the Warriors, trying to set that run, versus LeBron who's trying to be the greatest player of all time. You have 2 greatest of all times going at it. That's
Well,
what rivalries
guys,
are
it
all
was
about.
great to argue about this. We'll be back again to talk about this, I'm sure. That's all the time we have for this debate. But don't worry, Ellie will be right back with a little NFL prop block action.
The NFL season is a third of the way complete, so I am now joined at the desk by Mason Stoff and Andrew Vandellis for our first prop block of the year. So how this is going to work is I'm going to say a team, and these 2 are going to describe the play of the team using their prop of choice. Let's see how this goes. We're going to start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to head over to Mason first. What is your prop for the Kansas City Chiefs?
My prop for the Kansas City Chiefs is a Missouri hunting license, as in a Kareem hunting license. Because dude is an absolute stud, one of the best rookies, if not the best rookie by far in the NFL. He has showed up from day one. Other than his first snap of the year, he's been an absolute star.
This is some hard work to find this. Let's go with you.
Well, I mean, building off of the start that Kareem Hunt has had, I just got to say,
Oh, come on.
ring, baby. Rings. I know it's early, but look
That's
at the
way
offense
too-
that the Chiefs.
You just jinxed them. Find some. Get out of here. Find some wood.
Listen, they're top 10 in points per game, yards per game, pass and rush yards, and the defense is really solid given that they lost their best defender in Eric Berry week 1. And they're putting up career numbers along with Alex Smith, who's having a career renaissance right now.
I'm rooting for the
Okay, we're
Chiefs,
only
but
on-
go and
on-
knock on some wood,
But
please.
the ring, they're defeating teams
Okay.
like the Pats,
We gotta
which
go.
have
We are
6
on
of these
to
bad boys.
okay. There's some excitement. We got some more teams to cover. Okay, Andrew, let's hear the Giants.
Well, I just got to say, There's no other thing to describe it. I'm sorry. Injuries to Odell Beckham Jr., Brandon Marshall.
Is Eli in that? Is he
Yeah,
in there?
Eli, where are you? All right, I just got to say they're 28th in points per game, 29th in rush yards allowed, 26 in yards per game.
They're crap.
It's a mess.
They're
and
crap.
Fingers are being pointed everywhere. Nobody knows who
They're
to blame.
crap. They're crap. But they're also.
Did you bring crap?
No. I brought a first aid kit because they're largely crap because they cannot stay healthy. No Odell Beckham, no Brandon Marshall. This team has no wide receivers. They wish that Eli Manning was hurt because the guy can't stop throwing
Pretty
picks.
much.
But yeah, there's no way that the Giants have any luck whatsoever. They're not going to go 0-16, but they're garbage.
You got
and
any
because
ass
they're
over
hurt.
there? I'm getting a headache from
Okay,
this
guys,
trash.
we're gonna stay over and we're gonna go on to the LA Rams. What is your prop for them, Mason?
My prop for them, because they cannot seem to get any fans into the Coliseum, is a seat cushion. Because maybe it's just because they're not comfortable and they just need fans to be a little bit more comfortable in the Coliseum. Maybe it'll increase their numbers from 10% of the stadium to like 12.
Well, maybe all of LA. I think the Chargers need some seat cushions too. What are you going with?
true.
I'm gonna
At
go
least for
from
their
the-
own fans.
I'm gonna go from the seat cushions in the stadium to my seat cushion home in my couch. So I'm every fan in LA right now. Todd Gurley, no.
Hey, he's on my fantasy
When you
team though.
think
He's
about-
great.
Yeah, but I mean the Rams are performing well. Obviously, Todd Gurley has had a renaissance of his own after a lackluster second year. Jared Goff's finally coming to his own, but nobody is around to see it.
Well, I'm
That
glad
comes
you
from
guys.
TV.
Well,
I'm
they're-
glad you
they're
guys
not San
aren't
Diego, that's
LA
for sure.
LA fans because it would be a problem. We're gonna go to our last one with the New England Patriots. Andrew.
Well, I actually forgot it backstage, but it's a textbook. And you got to look forward to no more than Bill Belichick, the most textbook coach in the NFL. Brady's playing his game. Everybody's doing their thing while the defense isn't clicking.
I think it's symbolic. They forgot their textbook. You forgot yours.
Exactly. Early on in the season. But
That's
look
good.
at the history books. Be like me, study, read, and they started 3-2 in 2014.
Okay, we're gonna go over to your textbook.
And they're rolling.
Round us out,
They're gonna
Mason.
roll.
Mine is aspirin and some water. They need to get over this Super Bowl hangover
Your
that they
argument's
have.
giving me one right now.
Oh, I'm sure
I
it
just gotta
is.
say.
You forgot your prop. I just had
know.
to save your behind. So,
Fine.
but really, get over the Super Bowl hangover, New England. You're the best team.
Well, I think
Prove
I
it.
need some water after this one. Thanks, Mason. That is all the time we have for this NFL Prop Block. Thomas will be back in the lounge to discuss the impact of major companies on AAU and travel baseball. Up next.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning. 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash? 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
No thanks, Dad. I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go fix the lamp in your room.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Nike and Adidas are sponsors for AAU basketball teams and travel baseball teams, and it may be changing the game. Players are more likely to play for these teams because they're being sponsored and are promised things like scouting opportunities and recruiting trips. In light of the recent scandal, could this jeopardize eligibility for future prospects, guys? I've got Chris Edwards, Evan Piercy, Jimmy Longo here. Let's get into it. Let's talk.
Well, here's the thing, like, we all know, like, scandals, like, are always going to happen. Like, this is not, like, a new thing. You can take this back to 2012, where 4 AAU teams were literally stopped from competing in events because those teams were connected to an NBA agent in Andy Miller, excuse me. Take this back to recently, a couple weeks ago, Nasir Smith, big recruit out of North Carolina, was targeted by 2 rival companies. They're willing to put in $150,000. These are shoe companies to help schools like Arizona and North Carolina, like trying to like recruit them there because they know if he balls out during college, like he'll sign with that shoe company. So like the problem is like we know what the scandal is. It's just how do you stop it? And there's not really a solution to stop it.
I think it goes more than scandals though. I mean, you look at AAU basketball. Let's take Adidas for an example. They host the Adidas Summer Showcase. This year was in Vegas, where they bring all the teams they sponsor across the country, and they all compete against each other. And AAU coaches get paid by Adidas to travel, to buy equipment, buy shoes. They're given the shoes. Then they go to the showcase, and if they don't place well enough, then they lose their sponsorship. They lose the money.
Yep.
You look at baseball with travel baseball. All these big companies are coming in, putting in a lot of money, and it's hurting kids because they're focusing more on one sport rather than a whole wide range where you see 12-year-olds getting Tommy Johns.
You talked about this being a thing earlier, and since 2010, Nike created what they call the EYBL, the Elite Youth Basketball League, and it's basically 42 teams, and they all play throughout the summer, throughout the year, and then they try to go to a 28-team tournament at the end. Check this out. ESPN has their Super 60 rankings for high school athletes. 52 players out of that are in this league.
Dude, also, with these companies, they're leveraging the athletes. So as a high school athlete, you're working your butt off because you want to go to one of these showcases or competitions that Nike, Adidas, or Under Armour hosts. And with that, while you're there, you're given, you literally can fill this whole table up with a bunch of stuff that they're giving you.
They're giving shoes,
and
clothes.
They're putting it on social media.
And they're the athletes.
But it's all Adidas, or it's all Nike, or it's all Under Armour. It's all whatever company is sponsoring it.
And
how does that not influence an athlete?
Big time recruit, he posted an Instagram, and it was like Team Adidas all the way. And did he end up going to Adidas school? Yes, he actually did.
And then that's going to lead him to signing, if he goes pro, that's going to lead him to signing an Adidas contract to wear those shoes and promote their gear in the NBA or in whatever league he goes to. It's just the amount of money that's secretly involved that a lot of people are just like, oh, that's not really a thing. You know, they're given to him, but as a kid, that's impressionable. It's really impressionable.
Here's my problem, like, because let's just be real. The top recruits are always going to get paid whether they realize it or not. Like the big, like, I'm just going to like make this little comparison. Like the LeBrons of the world, the Kevin Durant's of the world, the Kevin Garnett's, the Dwight Howards, they're going to get their money. Like whether they say it or not. The people who get hurt the most are like the ones that are like in the middle. They're stuck in the middle of the pack.
Look, that's all the time we got to talk about this now. Big issue, big problems in the sports world, but the scandal helped break it a little bit. But great debate on a controversial topic. That's all we have for this lounge block, but Ellie will be joining me at the desk to debate which coaches have no business in their current roles.
Coaches come and go for all sorts of reasons, but then there are coaches who are there and seems to no one can figure out why. Thomas, what coach has no place being in this current role?
Oh man, Alvin Gentry. Out of New Orleans, the New Orleans Pelicans coach, Alvin Gentry. This guy's been coaching since 1994. He coached for Miami, Detroit, the LA Clippers.
Well, he has a resume there.
Okay, you want to hear more about it?
Okay,
so
go for it.
All those years, in 20 years, he's won over 50 games once. He's made the playoffs twice, only made it to the conference finals with the Phoenix Suns in 2009. And ever since then, he's just been stinking it up a storm. He took a 2-year break, didn't have any work. And then in 2015, New Orleans, for some reason, was like, hey, that's our guy.
Why do you think that they're keeping him then?
I have no clue.
So you
and that's
think
why
that
he's my candidate for why he should not be coach anymore.
Well,
how about you?
I'm going with Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ooh. The Steelers are a good team, but they just haven't seemed to progress and make that huge jump that they need to. And this coach, I think, is holding them back. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 2008. They just really seem to be struggling, and when they get to that point, and I will tell you that I think that coaches have a huge huge impact on a team, and we've seen that over and over again. A team can be struggling. Our own Elon Phoenix, we have a new coach, and we're on fire.
Look at us.
And I do want to say that I don't feel that I have any credentials in saying that someone should not be a coach, because
Absolutely.
I could not do that role.
Fun little segment, though.
But it's very fun, and I think that maybe the Steelers will transition and get someone new. Maybe
Yeah.
the Pelicans will too. So hopefully that these will be more, that these teams will increase maybe their winning percentage in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl for the Steelers.
Good luck to them. They got some iffy coaches.
Just yes. Well, that is all the time we have for this episode of One-on-One Sports.
Special thanks to all of our producers, crew, and talent, and you, the viewer, for tuning in.
If you missed anything or want to see more, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and like our page, all at One-on-One Sports. Here from everyone, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.
Whose side are you on?
Hey, Bert, hey, Bert.